the worst thing that happened to me is I lost myself. I never had myself. I never found myself. I had no self-esteem. So I knew through working out and through learning, because it took a lot for me to learn also, I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you gonna make fun of me? I stopped caring about that. And that's when my life started really changing for me, slowly but surely.
That's such an important point when you're talking about the working out, because a lot of people, when they think about working out, they think of it as being a physical thing.
Right, no. I did it for mental.
Yeah.
People always say, my God, like, no, don't look at it like, I didn't care about losing weight. I didn't care about being the fastest person. I wasn't making the Olympics. I wasn't going to pros. I could barely read and write when I was a junior in high school. I wasn't going anywhere. I saw working out as a way for me to build calluses on my mind. I had to callous over the victim's mentality. So I watched these movies. I talked about Rocky last time I was on here. I always equated training to mental toughening. Like, it always looked brutal. People waking up early and doing all these things, and it looked horrible. I was like, wow, man, I gotta start doing that. Not to get better, bigger, and stronger, but that is what's gonna build me. That looks uncomfortable. That looks brutal. And getting up early, I don't wanna do that. So I made this long list of things that I don't wanna do. And through that, I found myself. I started, I'm like, you guys aren't doing this shit in high school. You guys aren't getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running over here in this golf course. So I started seeing myself very differently than the average human being. I was like, hang on a second. I have something they don't have. And that's when I started to develop these things through working out. It was this great, never-ending work ethic. And through work ethic, I developed self-esteem.
Now, is this something that you learn? Is this something you learn yourself from exercise yourself? Or is this something you had read or heard about? Like, what made you equate doing this and doing these difficult things physically to mental toughness, to being, this is the discipline that you need in order to get your life out of the situation you're in?
So I never read anything. I could barely read, so
right.
I wasn't reading back then. I watched a lot of movies, and I was really big into visualization. And I always equated working out to struggle. And I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it. So I started realizing, man, I gotta start facing the struggle, and I gotta be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's where I started coming up with, like, I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. I'm not training for, like, to lift 400 pounds. And I found out on my own pretty much, is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. You start to armor your mind, because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. That's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. Now it's like just a way of life.
It's a crazy thing to figure out, though. It's like that you figured it out, and you didn't just figure it out, you embraced it. Like when you were talking about your senior year of high school, when you're talking about your mirror being your accountability mirror, like you had a radical shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just decided to not be a fucking loser.
Right.
And to start tightening up and start holding yourself accountable and get ready for things.
So I had this my whole life. I mean, I don't know if people believe in God or what. I don't care what you believe in. There's been this unrelenting voice in my head. We all have this voice. It's the right or wrong voice. And a lot of times that voice guides us into comfort. And my voice guided me to comfort a lot. But I have this other voice I heard my whole life saying, hey, motherfucker, what are you doing? No, man, we got to go over here. We got to go over here to that rock pile over in the fucking corner where nobody's at. That's where victory's at. We're over there in that corner. So this voice was giving me all these answers. Now, I wasn't a real smart kid growing up, but I had this crazy voice in my head saying, over there is where the fucking answers are. And I didn't want to listen to it, because over there was pain. Over there was me looking in the mirror. Over there was me being accountable for all these things I went through my life. Even though people put them on me, it's now mine to own. And I didn't want to go over there by myself, but I had to. And this voice was guiding me there. It's God, whatever you want to call it. But that's what it was in me.
Do you think that's just what when you separate yourself from your ego and what your insecurities and all like if you were giving yourself advice, you would say that's what the thing is to do. So do you think that's what it was, like your subconscious or you stripped away from all the bullshit when you couldn't lie to yourself because it's a voice in your head?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
It knew.
It knew. I was a character. What people read in this book can't hurt me. It's a sad story. It's a horrible story. It's a tragic story. It's a story that made me who I am today. But you have to learn to laugh at yourself too. Once you go through that shit, so there's a lot of parts in there where there's a lot of me against a lot of white people, you know? And I have a routine that I won't do. So people who hire me to speak, I'm not going to do the routine. I often do it sometimes. And think about it. I was a 36 black guy to go through SEAL training, okay?
Out of how many people?
Out of probably, looking at probably 11, 12, to make it through, probably 13,000 SEALs. I was probably the 36, I was the 36 black guy to make it through. And over, since like the 1940s, you know, you're looking at almost 70 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so, you know, do the math on that. So there's not a lot of black guys. And so I take that and I make a nice comedy skit out of that shit. You know, like the first time they tied me up and threw me, it's called drown proofing.
Yeah.
So I'm negative born as hell. You know?
Me too.
Oh.
I related to that big time.
Yes, you one of the few white boys, man, that are negative buoyant. You sink like a rock.
Like a rock.
And that's hard. So imagine them getting your hands and feet, tying your ass up and throwing you in the fucking water and say, swim. It was like throwing a cat in the water with fucking a brick on it. So I was just losing my fucking mind. So it's so many things I had to get over, you know, and I found humor. I found humor in my suffering. I was like, motherfucker, what are you doing out here, Goggins? Like, this is crazy. Like, You're literally trying to reinvent the wheel, but I was trying to reinvent my mind. And I used every single tactic possible to do that. I didn't want to live in this world where I was a fake human being anymore. And I was tired of blaming everybody for where I was at. My dad beat me, this happened. I mean, my dad ran prostitutes, man. My dad literally snatched the soul out of my mom. Like, my mom is still battling. Like, after my mom left my dad, and this is what I'll talk about in the book, she got married 3 times for a total of 6 months. You know, I don't go there. I'm not even gonna talk about the guy she married. So this woman she's beautiful. She's so smart. All this stuff, man. This guy literally stripped her soul away. And I was a young kid watching it, and I had no soul to begin with. And my brother, he has a story that he could write 8 books. You know, my dad just came through and just washed us all clean.